You may have heard about the upcoming event on December 21st, where Jupiter and Saturn are going to be more closely aligned than they have been for like 800 years. And that's pretty awesome. I'm hoping that I can get out there and be able to see that. That's a really neat event. And it's got me thinking about the story of the Star of Bethlehem. And what was the Star of Bethlehem? A lot of people think it was perhaps an aligning of planets. And in fact, there was in 6 BC, astronomers tell us that there was an aligning of 3 planets together, and certainly that would have made a bright star. But was that the Star of Bethlehem? I mean, maybe, but we can't really know. Jesus quite possibly could have been born in 6 BC when that happened. But there's some problems with that theory as well as there are other theories pertaining to astronomy and events that could have been in it, comets and things like that. And other people think it wasn't an event pertaining to astronomy at all, but just a supernatural light in the sky, as if God poked a hole in the canvas of the sky and let his glory shine through from heaven into our world. And certainly it could have been just a purely supernatural event like that or whatever. But the thing is, we don't really know. The scriptures are, I think, very purposefully vague about the details of the star. There's just not enough there for us to truly know this side of heaven what was the Star of Bethlehem. But that's the point. That's the point. Because the story of the Star of Bethlehem is not a story about the star. It's a story about the Messiah. The purpose of the star was to lead the wise men to Jesus. So the story of the star is a story about Jesus. And it's got me just challenged, in that way. Like my story, your story, our story is ultimately, as believers, not to be a story of our lives, but our story should really just be about his story. It should lead others to the Messiah. And so I'm challenged by that as I'm thinking about the Star of Bethlehem. And I want to encourage you and challenge you to think about that as well. Is our story leading others to Jesus? Is the story of our lives really a story about him? Jesus said that he is the light of the world. I love Christmas lights on the tree. I like to drive around with the kids and look at Christmas lights. I love the Christmas season. It's my favorite time of year. I love the music. I love the candy canes, pulling them off the tree and eating them. I love just everything about the Christmas season. But it's easy to get distracted by it. Just like it's easy to get distracted by, well, what is the star? What is it? It's so curious, so mysterious. But we don't want to let the mystery of the star distract us from the true point of the story about it being to lead the wise men to the Messiah. I'm challenged as well and want to challenge you to not let the Christmas season distract from the reason for the season. To not let Christmas season distract me from Christ. But rather, I want the Christmas season and all those good things about it to center me on Christ. And so, I think about the end, and I think about the end of God's story when he returns and he ushers in the new heaven and new earth, and God's people dwell together forever in the New Jerusalem with Christ. And I think about how it says, it says that there's no need for sun anymore because God is its light, and the Lamb is its lamp. God's glory lights up heaven. And Jesus said he is the light of the world. And so this Christmas season, let's let it center us on Jesus.